Hello, writers and wanna-beez. Welcome back to the Voice Memos podcast. It has been quite a while, honestly. You can probably hear the birds. Let's just enjoy the sounds of the birds and whatever that rattling animal is. It's not a rattlesnake, I promise. Let's just take a few minutes, maybe a few seconds, maybe not a few minutes. Take a few seconds and enjoy the sounds of nature. Yeah, that's enough. So welcome back, everyone. It's been a while. If you're a viewer of my channel, it's obviously you've realized there's not been much to view recently. But I'm back, sort of, halfway. I mean, I'm back on the pod, so that's good. Yeah, I'm back on the pod, basically. I was like, I want to make an episode. I have some thoughts, I have some opinions, I have some life updates, and hopefully this can also help me kind of get back in the flow of things when it comes to posting, because I've not been able to post for the past, I think, month now, maybe several weeks. Oh, that is a type of bee I don't know that I like. It's kind of it looks like a bumble hybrid of some sort. It's not like a regular bumblebee. That's one thing I've been really hyper fixating on is bugs recently. I've always kind of liked learning about insects because I have a bit of an irrational fear. I say that very lackadaisically because it's not deafening of a fear, but it's definitely there when it comes to spiders and stuff and the like. But I've had friends who've had spiders, and tarantulas, they're kind of cool. Jumping spiders, they're kind of cute. So I basically I've been watching videos about all the different spider types and ranking them from least to most poisonous and where they're at, and that kind of gives me peace of mind. So lesson of that fruit? The fruit of that lesson? The fruit of that lesson, guys, is exposure therapy does in fact have some positive ramifications. So highly recommend, if you have any little minute fear, such as my fear of urinals. Don't ask about that one. I don't actually have an explanation. There is really none. I think it has something to do with, the uncanny shape of the thing and just the lack of exposure to it when I was young. You just don't see them a lot. It's the same thing with bidets. It's the whole idea of uncanny valley, but in a toilet. It's close to a toilet, but not quite, I don't think anyone is going to be able to relate to that sentiment, but it's fine. So basically, where I've been traveling. Ignore the skip in time that just happened. My alarm went off. Also, that's my dog, if you can hear his little, what do you call it? His little tag. Say hello. He said hello to the pod. I'm getting tired. We're gonna transition inside. Not that you can see that transition. But, yeah, so I've been traveling a little bit, and, I was in a film, which I think I did talk about this a little bit towards the beginning of summer. I mentioned it in a video. We're wrapped filming now, so that is super exciting. I had quite the experience, and maybe I will make a video about it if I ever get the gumption to make a video. I'm kidding, I definitely will, it's a matter of when will I. Psych stuff kind of got intense. Today I have a midterm, so wish me good luck on that. By the time this video is up, I probably will be done taking the midterm, so that's kind of interesting. But yeah, so I've been very, very, very busy, and to be completely honest, I've talked about this before, I think, on the pod, but it's been a while, obviously. portioning out your creative energy is like, it's like creating a pie, and you only have but so much space in the pie. Yes, and so I've had to cut back in some areas in order to really hone in my skills in others and really lock in, and recently that's been, as you could probably assume, with writing, where I finished drafting To Our Core, which I do distinctively remember talking about. I think in like one of my last videos, it is done being drafted, and we are now in the editorial phase. We are about 50 some pages in out of like 150 or so. So maybe 145. So we're making good headway, but it has required a lot of intense focus, and it's not necessarily been draining, but it's like once I'm like outside of like my like my central project, which at this moment is writing, I guess not project, I mean medium of art, whatever, it doesn't matter. Everything else kind of drains me a bit, whether it's songwriting, whether it's like actually getting the guitar out and playing, whether it's thinking about dance stuff for like next semester, or what, like it does not matter, like reading even, it's a lot. And so I've just not been able to allot the effort that I would want to allot to posting on YouTube. And I would want to, and I actually do have a filmed but unedited video that I still might put out. It's just I don't feel like editing it, if I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't even know if it's relevant to edit and post at this point, given it's so old. But we're gonna try to get back on the train, because that's the thing with YouTube, is like you have to be consistent, and I'm definitely inconsistent. So I'm definitely open to any feedback or like suggestions that people have. YouTubers, fellow author tubers, booktubers, please comment those below, because I really don't really have a great method for pushing through when the times get tough, if you will. Not to get too deep or anything, but I've definitely been dealing with some on and off depressive episodes over the past little bit of time, which is just lovely creatively. And when that happens, it's like the pie gets even smaller, and if you know, and like you have to be so incredibly intentional about what you put your energy into, because there's so little of it. Like you're running on such a low tank that it's like you don't really have any reserves left, if you will. And so that at that point, once life started lifing, and once that became a factor in the whole situation, I knew that YouTube was going to have to be set aside, and I don't feel great about it, to be completely honest, because YouTube is something that's my dog again. YouTube is something that I genuinely consider a passion of mine, and hopefully at some point in life, perhaps a career option. We hit, what did we hit, 100 some followers. Thank you for that, by the way, guys. Thank you for that. I'm very grateful for having those followers, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in YouTube's terms, it is. It is much easier and quicker to grow platforms on, say, Instagram or TikTok than it is on, like, a platform like YouTube, so I appreciate all of y'all. But yeah, and so that's kind of where I'm at, and I can't say definitively that there's going to be a posting schedule or anything, because if you know me, I'm not a schedule person. I don't really keep a calendar, and schedules usually end up fading away after like a couple weeks or so of them. It's very difficult for me to maintain that regimented of structuring my days, or even structuring posts, but I think I'm going to try to take a bit of a more breathy approach, if you will. This time around, when I return to YouTube, hopefully this week after this midterm, whereas before I was kind of trying to post every day of the week, which was great when I had the energy, and when, this, that, and the other weren't going on constantly. And I also forgot to mention, like, I finished drafting Give Our Town, and so that's a whole thing with it being now with betas, and trying to find betas, and going on to the next round of edits, and so on and so forth. And so, yeah, it's just, I don't know. I really don't know. I think I'm, like, getting to the end of this episode. I think this is about all I want to say. This is less of an episode and more of an announcement, I guess, but, a check-in, if you will. But yes, I definitely want to get back to filming videos because my goal remains, like it or not, for my TikTok folks, to eventually transition full-time to YouTube, but unfortunately, I don't think I can do that until I have at least a comparable amount of a following and, ideally monetization, and so we're slowly working towards that goal. But, I guess this is the part of the episode where I'm supposed to, like, say something inspirational. I don't know that I have anything inspirational to say. However, if you were watching this and you were also a up-and-coming content creator / artist, it's a trial and error thing, especially for the first few years, and getting dedicated and getting serious about it sometimes means taking breaks and regrouping and figuring out what you're going to do. I would say until you reach maybe 1,000 followers, it's really, like, it's gonna be trial and error. That, I mean, obviously I haven't reached 1,000 followers on YouTube, but that is very much my experience with other social media platforms, and that's okay, and it's not necessarily that you're being lazy. A lot of the breaks and a lot of the sort of ups and downs and, like, changes in format and changes in style and changes in persona, that is part of, like, I guess the growing pains of having an online personality and finding that online personality and being comfortable in it. And in fact, I would encourage a bit of growth in that area, a bit of experimentation when it comes to, like, how you're producing content, what type of content you're producing, on what schedule, and being mindful of that, like, pie chart we talked about, because it is a thing. Like, you only have but so much creative energy, and you will learn that very quickly. And this is coming from someone who is a compulsive writer. I write every day. I've been writing every day for probably 2 or 3 years now. I mean, every single day, writing through burnout, writing through writer's block. Like, not a lot every day. I'm not gonna say how much I've written every day, but this is coming from someone who has integrated that kind of expression in art into their schedule religiously. And so be mindful of, how much you have in your tank creatively, which, obviously that's going to bounce off other things, your social battery, how you're doing mentally and emotionally, your physical health, of course, but I would definitely take some time to specifically allot to analyzing where your creative energy is going, because you could be doing a lot of really cool, really awesome things, really creative things, because I think a lot of you are creatives like me that are not just like, oh, I do this one art. It's very, what's the word? Interdisciplinary. A lot of us artists, especially a lot of us young, like, college artists who are in these programs who are encouraging that. And so a lot of times you're like sort of spreading yourself so thin creatively that you're not able to actually put in the, amount of care and precision and, energy. I keep saying energy. I don't want to think of a better word, but that's the best I have for now, into the sort of the core of it all, if you will, the center of your creative fire, which normally is like one particular thing at the time. At least that's how it is for me. That's what Give Our Town was for quite a while, until obviously now it's kind of sitting for a bit. It's kind of marinating. But yeah, that's kind of all I have for today. I think I'm gonna, like, go ahead and end the podcast, because we're, like, at, like, 18 minutes or so, and that's a lot. That's like a long video, but thank you guys for sitting with me, and thank you for chatting with me. I appreciate it. Feel free to leave comments, give the video a like if you, have time, subscribe, send to any friends who might need a bit of motivation to, continue their creative pursuits, or pick something back up, or even just feel less guilty about, walking away from a creative activity for a bit. It's completely natural, and, it will find its way back to you. So I guess I'll leave on that note. But yeah, thank you guys. Later.